Semi-eager.
We apologize in advance for the drop of quality in this video. We were forced to use our iPhones since we left the GoPro in Herby's truck. So we will be getting the GoPro back, but for now, here is our video. Still awesome, but slightly less quality.
We're here for our last day here in Easton. It's 7 in the morning, and we're gonna be heading out now. So right now it's peak high tide, or as they call it, slack high tide. So we're leaving at this point.
And we're off. So we're currently just flying Stan on his self-tacker as we get ourselves out of here. So we're leaving Easton Point, which is right there behind us, and we're making our way down the river. So we're leaving just as the tide's beginning to go out. That way we'll be carried out with the tide, and we're going downwind, so everything's in our favor. This right here is the part that tripped us up last time when we were coming in. You can see it says it's 2 feet deep in the middle of the channel and 11 feet deep on the side of the channel. Well, our little dashed line that's ahead of us is when we came in, and I can guarantee you it is not 11 feet deep over there. Apparently it's 12 feet deep in the middle of the channel. So right now we're running across where it says should be 2 feet, and we have 6 feet under our keel, so that's 12 feet. So charts and GPS are nice, but sometimes you need local knowledge.
We're finally out of the really narrow part that was kind of shallow. So now we'll put up Monty, and then we'll start really sailing. So right now we've been ghosting out of this area on tide and just Stan, set up with the self-tacker. And the winds are so light and variable, I've been seeing Stan like flop from one side to the other the whole way. So Monty's going up. Hopefully the wind will be a little more consistent, otherwise I'm going to be jibing the whole way down this river. When Maddie wakes up, we'll get Dill flying, and then we'll really start making some speed. Alright, we got Monty up. So now we're doing 2 knots, which is double our speed before when we were just flying Stan. So, goes to figure. 2 sails, 2 knots, 1 sail, 1 knot. So we're making our way out of the river. We got like 6 to 7 miles to go to get to Oxford, which would be a potential stopping point if we decide to. If it's early, we'll just keep on going and get out of this area completely. So onward we go.
Another common cloud formation, which might look like horrible thunderstorms everywhere around you, are these fluffy little white clouds with dark bottoms. The dark bottom is simply shadowing because they're so thick that the sun can't get through to the bottom. So the bottom looks darker, but it's not actually a thunderhead. So these are very low level clouds, and all they really serve to tell you is the direction of the upper level winds. These are low level clouds, so they're not going to show you what the upper level weather systems are doing. So this is not really an indicator of a front or a higher low pressure system. It's just fluffy white clouds that are overhead. Now if you see one of these guys starting to shoot up high up into the sky, that's going to make a thunderhead, and it's probably going to hit you like a squall. So you can keep an eye on them, but if you see these, you don't have to reef your sails in an instant or be worried that a horrible storm's going to hit you. These are just fluffy white clouds and should be thought of as cute little fluffy white clouds. Over in this direction, you can see through the fluffy white clouds the upper level clouds. Now these are called altostratus clouds, which are pretty much just thin, flat, high level clouds. Now these tend to indicate the approach of a low pressure system, but they themselves aren't an indicator of bad weather or not. They can also simply just be the cloud formation that's up there. So these are the things you want to watch out for. The low level clouds are just there. The upper level clouds are your bigger indicator to the general wind picture that you're going to be looking at.
Upsetting, I know, I should. That's one way to get rid of wrinkles. Oh, baby. Yes, I was making fun. I'm sorry.
Make him do it again.
Oh. He learned. He learned. By the time I woke up and got out of bed, we were out of the tread oven. So it must have gone extremely smoothly. The wind was in our favor coming out of the north, and we just kind of snuck out of there, no big deal. So now we're headed to Liberty, around Annapolis area, to get something important added to our sails. They forgot the, what are they called?
Cunningham.
The Cunningham. So we kind of need that.
And the
luckily,
telltales.
yeah, and the telltales. That's what I was thinking. But luckily, we're very close to there, so we can afford to just kind of go over, sit there for a bit, wait for our sail to come back, and head to our next destination. Ah, the life of the unplanned. We are now on book 2 of the Dresden Files. Book 1 was excellent, and for Herbie's birthday, my parents somehow knew to get him books 3 and 4. So we're really enjoying this series, and I highly recommend it if you haven't read it.
Senator Perry asked us about Stan with his self-tacker. So it's a simple bridle system where it starts off with the sheet tied here to one of our spring cleats. From there, it runs forward to the jib tracks, and then from there to the bridle. Now we have a clue board in our clue. That way we can move it up or down. So higher is for lighter winds, lower is for heavier winds. And it's the same effect as moving your jib track car forward or aft. So the magic of it is it goes to one side, and then on the next tack, it simply comes back over to the other. That's it. So when we have to short tack out of a river or something, we just put Stan on his self-tacker and he does whatever he needs to do. So then the main and Stan both work on their own. Now, the issue with the self-tacker is you don't get the best shape for upwind performance. So for that, especially having a clue board where there's multiple holes, we have regular sheets. And these we usually just hook on in another point. I like to do lower on the clue board because if it's nice light winds, we'll be using the self-tacker. If it gets kind of snotty out, usually you want to have a flatter sail, so you automatically want it to be lower on the clue board. That is our self-tacker, and that is Morty.
Sitting on the self-tack.
Yeah. Now, one important thing with the self-tacker, there's only one sheet you have to adjust in the cockpit. So on this side it's fixed, on the other side it runs all the way back to a winch, and that one you just adjust as you need. And what you're really doing is you're adjusting the length of the bridle. So if you pull it in shorter, it tends to pull the sail in closer. If you let it out, like right now we're attempting to run, there's just not much wind, we have it let out quite far. So that's all your adjustment. We have been becalmed. There is no wind anywhere. And we are kind of at the mouth of the river into the bay, sort of not. So we're kind of seeing which way the current's going to be taking us, and we're just waiting for wind to come back. So the way the Chesapeake works, in the morning you have breeze, midday everything just dies, and in the afternoon you get a lot of wind. So hopefully we'll still be in the bay and didn't get swept back into the river with the incoming tide, and we'll be able to sail up to South River quickly.
When I say becalmed, I mean totally becalmed. So there's pretty much nothing around. It's all super flat, and there is a tiny whisper of wind. So we're pointing in a general direction that we'd like to be going, but the sails are just kind of hanging there. We didn't put out mill and dill right now because the weather's gonna change soon, and when it picks up, there's usually very little warning. It's just the wind is here. It is rather peaceful out here. hardly any waves. The boat just gently rocks. And little pieces of grass that float by us let us know that we are still moving, just very slowly. What's our speed, babe? Huh. 0.9 knots. So we're still technically moving, just not anywhere in a hurry.
Our speed has slowed even further. We're now doing 0.3 of a knot. So, in other words, we're not really going anywhere. So Maddie's getting some cheese, and we're gonna have a nice lunch of cheese. And it will be great.
Our lunch. Yes, it's gonna be delicious.
Maddie's gonna have some cheddar and brie. I'm just gonna have the rest of the brie. Can't wait to eat that cheese we made in the jar.
Oh yeah, that'll be good. Oh, these are stale. Incredibly stale.
Such is boat life.
Oh no. No. So if we had been anyone else, we probably would have a diesel motor, and with this calm here, we would have just motored on through, powered through, and gotten to our destination. But instead, we just took it as an opportunity to relax, have some lunch, hang out, talk, and enjoy the light bobbing. Honestly, and now the wind is back, so we can go now. Works out great. Oh, there they go. Oh, crap, I was looking at the sky.
Oh, there's so many.
Yeah. Many dolphins in the Chesapeake Bay.
So we're out here on a windless day, just bobbing around, and then all these dolphins started just breaching around us. Or not breaching, but surfacing. Mads, how do the dolphins make you feel?
Like it was worth it to sit here for the past couple hours. Look at them, they're so cute. Oh! Left. Oh! Drama.
Yes. Ooh, they are hunting.
When you think of the Chesapeake, you don't think of clean water or anything living.
Wildlife?
Yeah.
But we just saw so many dolphins! They were all around us. I mean, they were pretty far out. They weren't right next to us, but we could really make them out, like, super clearly.
Yeah. So we're sailing through a fish haven, and they are feeding.
Yes. Oh, yes. There were fish that were just flopping, and then dolphins, and...
Yeah, and then, like, tails going.
Yeah.
And it was cool.
The winds came out of nowhere, so now we're going along at about 5 knots. And Maddie is making us dinner. What you making?
Come on in and see. I am making something up, so I don't know if it's going to be good. Right now I'm sauteing chicken and onions in olive oil. I am boiling pasta. There will be eggs involved. And I'm cutting up tomatoes. So we'll see. Well, I had to pause the cooking because in true Chesapeake fashion, the winds just picked up like crazy. We went into a bit of a storm here and we had to drop our sails because, of course, we had up very light air sails and we were being tossed around like crazy. So Herby just dropped both our sails, lifted stand. Never any middle ground with the Chesapeake.
Started out as a super light sail, turned into really, really rough weather. Currently with 3 reefs in the main and just our staysail. We are reefed down all the way. It's all the extra boom we have. Make our sails as small as possible.
It has been a crazy long day of sailing and sitting and
So much.
yeah. So I started to cook this meal 3 hours ago and we're finally able to sit down and eat it. I made it up because we had some ingredients that we just had to eat. So it is pasta with chicken and onions that I sauteed in olive oil, and then some cheese that I added to that, and an egg that I cracked into it, and tomatoes. And it's awesome. Oh, and a special spice, some kind of gingery thing that we got from a
Farmer's market.
Yeah.
Yeah, today we left at 7 in the morning and we just got to our anchorage at 11 o'clock.
Yeah, it's...
So we're tired. 11 p.m.
It's been a long journey.
Yeah. Like we had no wind, too much wind, seasickness.
Yeah.
All the things. See you guys later.
Next time on Sailing Wisdom, Herby uses the rain as an opportunity to clean the deck, and we actually get some exercise on land. Thanks so much for watching, and if you want to become a sailing buddy, you can click the link down below to our Patreon account.
Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel, and when you click subscribe, make sure you click on the little bell in the annotation. That way you get notifications as soon as our next video is uploaded.
Thanks so much!